Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode. Today I want to talk about something that really personal to me. I want to talk about my relationship with God and how getting closer to God changed so many things in my life, especially when it comes to anxiety, fear, confidence, and I think just the way I see life. And honestly, I don't think I can explain everything in one episode because I feel I feel like my relationship with God has affected me and affected almost every part of my life. But I want to talk about the things that I personally noticed because I think sometimes we try to fix ourselves in so many different ways by reading books, listening to podcasts. We try to become more confident, we try to stop overthinking, and we try also to control our future. And we try to understand why everything is happening to us. And I did that too. I used to think that if I could just understand everything, if I could plan everything perfectly, maybe I would finally feel safe. But the truth, but the truth is, you can never control everything. And I think one of the biggest things that changed for me was learning what it actually means to trust God. Not just saying, I trust God, but actually trying to live with mindsets. Because there were so many moments in my life when I was very scared about my future, scared that something wasn't going to work out, scared that I was making the wrong decision, and also scared that I was going to lose something or lose everything. And sometimes I would overthink something for hours. Can you imagine? Like literally for hours. I would keep thinking, what if this happens? What if that doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I regret this? What if I don't get what I want? And then I realized, wait a second, why I'm acting like everything depends on me? Why I am carrying the entire future, the entire life on my shoulders? I can do my part. I can work. I can make decisions. I can try my best, but I can control the outcome. And that's where trusting God started to become so important to me. Because when you genuinely believe that God knows what's the best for you, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know how everything is going to happen. You don't have to have the entire plan figured out. You know what I mean? So you just have to take the step or take the next step. And honestly, that really gave me so much peace, so much peace. It didn't mean that I suddenly stopped being like afraid or anxious. I still get scared sometimes. I still overthink sometimes, but I'm still human. The difference is that now, when I feel anxious about something, I have somewhere to take that in anxiety. I can I can pray, I can talk to God, I can just sit there and tell God everything that's on my mind. And I don't have to make it sound perfect. I don't have to know exactly what to say. I can just be honest, super honest to God, and be able to let all the weights from my chest. And God knows everything. God knows everything. You don't have to, as I said, to sound perfect. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about having a relationship with God. You don't have to pretend. You can like come exactly as you are. When you're happy, when you're scared, when you're confused, when you're disappointed, when you're completely exhausted, you can still turn to God. That makes me so, like, I can't explain how much I feel. Like, I feel at peace. Like, I have someone I rely on, like the greatest of the greatest. You know what I mean? So, and I think that changed the way I see difficult situations or certain situation. Before something had happening, would immediately make me think, why is this happening to me? What's going on? What's going on? Like, literally, what's going on? How am I going to fix this? I just want to control everything. But now I try to think, okay, maybe I don't understand the right now. Like, I don't understand this right now. Maybe I don't see the reason, but God knows something that I don't know. And God knows something that we don't know. And I, that thought alone can really change everything. Everything. Because something we think, and sometimes we think something is like the worst. We think about the worst case scenario. And and that could never happen, right? And then like you realizing that why I'm wasting my energy on something that will never ever happen. Why? And and 10 like 10 months later, we look back and realize, or a year, whatever, maybe God was protecting me from this situation or from this goal, relationship, etc. Maybe that door had to close. Maybe I was being redirected. And that's something I've experienced in a different ways. Sometimes you want something so badly and we pray for it. We think about it all the time. We imagine our life with it. And then it doesn't happen and you're disappointed. I'm disappointed. You're like, God, why didn't this happen? But sometimes you have to trust God even when the answer is no. And I think that's one of the hardest forms of trust, because it's easy to say I trust God when you're getting exactly what you want. But what about when you're not? What about when the answer is completely different from what you prayed for? That's when you really have to remind yourself. You have to remind yourself, I don't know, like, what God knows. And maybe this the thing that I want so badly isn't actually good for me. And God wants to protect me from that. Maybe I'm only seeing one part of the picture, and God sees the entire picture. That doesn't mean that you don't feel sad. You can be sad. You can be sad. You can cry. You can feel disappointed. You can wish things were different. Having faith doesn't mean you never feel anything. It just means that your pain has somewhere to go. And for me, it's enough. And I think my relationship with God also changed my confidence. Genuinely. Because I used to think confidence was about how other people see me or see you, for example. Like, do people like me? Do they think I am pretty? Do they think I'm successful? Do they think smart, intelligent, whatever? And you're waiting for their approval and their validations to feel enough within yourself. But the more I become connected to God, the more I realize that I don't need to get my entire sense of worth from people. People can change their opinion about you tomorrow. Someone can love you today and misunderstand you tomorrow. Someone can like prize you one day and like criticize you the next day. So if your entire self-worth and self-respect is built on people's opinions, you're going to be emotionally exhausted and drained, because you're constantly trying to control something that you can't control. And I think there is something very, very powerful to me about knowing that God knows me. God knows your intentions. God knows what you went through. God knows that in the things you never told anyone. God knows how hard you tried. And sometimes you don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to. You don't need everyone to understand you. God knows. God knows everything. And for me, that's enough. That's really, really enough. And another thing that really changed for me is fear. I used to be afraid of so many things. The future, the failure, the people, making the wrong decision, losing things, losing someone, not knowing not knowing what's going on, what's going to happen. But when you really start believing that like God is in control, you start realizing, and you're telling yourself, why am I terrified of a future that I haven't even reached yet? Why I am suffering over something that hasn't happened? And that's something I have to remind myself constantly, because our mind can create entire scenarios. You can literally sit in your room and experience 10 different disasters that never actually happened. And I've done that 100 times. I've overthought things that never happened. I've worried about conversation that never happened. I've worried about problems that didn't even exist yet. And then I realized I'm suffering twice. I'm suffering over something that may never happen. And that's when I try to come back to God. I try to remind myself, whatever happens, God is still there. Whatever happens, I can deal with God and I can deal with it. Whatever happens, I don't have to face it alone, because God will always be there for me. And honestly, that gives me a different kind of strength and power. Not the kind of strength where you think nothing bad will ever happen to me. No, it's more like, even if something bad happens, I know I'll get through it, because I know where I can turn. And I think that's a completely different kind of confidence, really. It's not confidence in yourself alone, it's confidence that God will guide you, help you, and give you the strength to deal with whatever comes your way. And I also think that getting closer to God make me more comfortable with uncertainty, because I used to think I needed to know what's going to happen next. Like, I wanted answer, I wanted timelines, I wanted everything to make sense. I wanted to control really everything in my life. But life doesn't work like that. Sometimes you just have to move forward without knowing. You pray, you make your decision, you do your best, and then you leave the rest to God. And honestly, I think that's where peace starts, when you stop trying to control every single detail. When you understand, I have responsibilities, but I don't have to control, like, over everything. And that's okay. I can work toward my goals. I can have big dreams. I can like want financial success, a beautiful life. I can work hard for everything I want. But but I don't have to worship the outcome. I don't have to destroy my peace because I don't know when it's going to happen. I can just do my part and trust God with the rest. And that's something I'm still learning. I'm not going to sit here or sit there and pretended that I have mastered this. They are still days where I overcome. There are still moments where I get scared. There are still things that I want so badly. But I think the difference is that now I know where to go when I feel lost. And honestly, I think that's what a relationship with God means to me. It's not just about asking for things, it's not about making, like, my own decisions or praying when you need something. It's about knowing God when you're okay to. It's about talking to God when you're happy, being grateful when things are going well, remembering God when you get what you want or what you prayed for, and not only running back to God when something goes wrong. No, because I don't want my relationship with God to be based only on what I want from Him. I want to know God. I want to feel close to Him. I want my heart to have that connection. And I think the more you build that relationship, the less alone you feel. Even when nobody understands you, uh, even when you don't know what your future looks like, even when you feel like everything is uncertain, you still have God. And sometimes that's the reminder I need. I don't need to know everything. No, I don't need everyone to understand me. I don't need to have everything figured out. I just need to keep doing my best, keep praying, keep moving, and trust God with what I can't control. And if you're listening to this right now and you're going through something, maybe you're scared about your future, maybe you're waiting for something, maybe something didn't work out the way you wanted, maybe you're feeling lost. I just want to remind you of something that I remind myself too. You don't have to understand everything right now. You don't you don't have to know why something happened. You don't have to know how everything is going to work out. Just take it one day at a time. Do your part and leave what you can't control to God. Because sometimes the peace we're looking for doesn't come from finally getting all the answers. Sometimes it comes from realizing that we need, like, we need all the answers. We don't need to know all the answers. You just need to trust the one who, you just need to trust the one who has them. And honestly, I think that's one of the biggest lessons my relationship with God has taught me. It made me less afraid of the future. It made me more patient, grateful, confident, and most importantly, it made me feel like I don't have to carry everything by myself. And I think that's something I will always be grateful for. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. And if you're going through something right now, I hope you remember that you don't have to figure out your entire life tonight. Just, relax, breathe, pray, take the next step, and trust God with the rest. And yeah, so that's everything for today's video. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.